All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. This is the Giving Tuesday Fundraising Masterplan webinar, what to do before, during, and after Giving Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining. We have a little bit of time here today. Let me go ahead and kick it off. So if this is your first time joining one of my webinars, a little bit about me. My name is Jeremy Hazelwood. Started up this online community called Fundraisers Unite. I've got 20 years of digital marketing experience, which also involves nonprofits and commercial side. I'm the author of the Amazon best-selling book, The Digital Fundraising Blueprint, which is actually available on Kindle, on Amazon, and also on audiobooks on both Apple and Amazon on audible.com. I've also led digital fundraising strategy at multiple fundraising agencies, working with national, regional, and local nonprofits. And the digital strategies that I've worked on have actually generated over $100 million of online revenue for nonprofits. And my experience from the nonprofit side is with human services, medical research, disaster response, faith-based organizations, and animal welfare. So what will we be talking about today? This is our agenda. We'll be talking a little bit about setting the scene for Giving Tuesday. Talk about what to do before Giving Tuesday. When Giving Tuesday comes, what do you do now? And then what do you do after Giving Tuesday? And at the end, we'll go a little bit over some worksheets that I've put together for you that you're actually able to download within the Fundraisers Unite platform that will help to guide and organize your Giving Tuesday efforts. Setting the scene. So let's talk a little bit about last year in Giving Tuesday. And because this video will be online for a while, this may be even more than last year by the time you see this video, but it certainly sets the scene about Giving Tuesday and some stats that are important, if you didn't know already, how important of a giving day this is for nonprofits across the world. So in 2018, it was 380 million gifts that were, $380 million that were given on Giving Tuesday, which was also 3.6 million gifts that were given to nonprofits. Through Facebook, we've seen that grow tremendously over the past few years. $125 million in donations through Facebook that were acquired. And if you look overall at Giving Tuesday, we're still seeing tremendous growth, 38% year-over-year increase in the number of revenue that Giving Tuesday generated. So it's showing no signs of slowing down. And in fact, 46% of donors worldwide still have not heard of Giving Tuesday. Now, of course, nonprofits, we all know about Giving Tuesday, or at least most of us should by this point, but there's still a lot of donors who are unaware. So there's still some awareness, which means there's still market opportunity for your nonprofit to gain and capitalize on Giving Tuesday. So if we look at this trend here from 2012 to 2018, in 2012, Giving Tuesday generated $10 million. And you can see each year it increases. You know, it more than doubled in 2013, almost doubled in 2014. It more than doubled in 2015. And you can see where we're sitting at in 6 years, going from $10 million to $380 million that is generated on Giving Tuesday. And there's still opportunities. So, you know, when you pair where we're at with $380 million with only 54% of donors worldwide knowing about Giving Tuesday, I mean, I could easily see in the next few years $1 billion being generated. So that's really my prediction. In the next 3 to 5 years, I could see that easily happening on Giving Tuesday. The question is, what will your nonprofit be doing in order to either get in the Giving Tuesday game or to do it better? Because you know at the same time, there's other nonprofits that you'll be competing with. So you may want to make sure that the things that you're doing are organized and strategic to ensure that your organization does have a voice on Giving Tuesday. So in this stat right here, this comes from the Blackbaud report. So the summary is basically everybody wins on Giving Tuesday, but we've been seeing smaller nonprofits seeing the biggest gains. The column here in green, this is 2018, and it breaks down small, medium, and large nonprofits. Now, if you go all the way to the right for 2012, you see that really the large nonprofits, they were the ones that benefited the most from Giving Tuesday. And likely they have more resources to get into the game, perhaps more ad budget to put behind promoting Giving Tuesday for their organization. But if you look at that trend, you know, let's let's start at that top line. Looking at the small nonprofits in 2012, all the way on the right side, they got 5% of the share, and went down a little bit in 2013, and then have been relatively flat 2014 to 2017, just varying a little bit. But 2018, nonprofits really came up quite a bit with 15%. So they more than doubled the amount of the distribution of revenue between 2017 and 2018. And I really believe like over the next few years, we're going to continue to see that either remain the same, about 15%, or perhaps it will grow even more than what it has. Medium nonprofits have made really big strides the past few years. And you can see that the previous year, 36%, and they went down to 29%, but you're still looking at a third of all gifts coming to medium-sized nonprofits. And, large, they've kind of leveled out the past couple of years. It will be interesting to see if they'll hang around that mid 50% range. I don't foresee that you're going to see those large nonprofits have 60 to 80% of the market share like they did before for the revenue that's generated. That I could be wrong though. But basically what this tells me is that everybody is benefiting off of Giving Tuesday. And so whether you're a small nonprofit and you think you're too small and you think that you're going to be squeezed out by larger nonprofits, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, the data suggests that no, this is a shot for your organization as well to generate and capitalize off of Giving Tuesday. So when we look at the sectors of nonprofits and the distribution of Giving Tuesday by different sectors, and again, this came from the Blackbaud report as well, we're seeing higher education in the middle there. 32% of revenue for Giving Tuesday went to higher education, followed by human services at 18%, K through 12 education at 17%. The ones that didn't do necessarily as well in 2018, you see international affairs at 1%. But if you look back to 2016 and even 2012, you're looking at 10% and 13%. So, you look at like arts and culture here at only 2%, and even medical research only 3% for 2018. And especially for medical research, there were, double-digit market share in 2012 through 2016. And what this really tells me is that the giving comes in waves and cycles. Even for human services, you look at, when natural disasters occur in those years like 2016, that could be related to hurricanes or something like that. So certainly, if your sector of nonprofits didn't necessarily perform as well last year, that does not mean that will be the case this year. So even if you're in international affairs and you got that 1% of the revenue, that doesn't mean that this year you should say, we're going to sit out of Giving Tuesday because we didn't do so well last year. My advice would be to hang in there, because the sectors tend to swing back and forth depending on what's happening geopolitically, socially, what's happening in the news. So, everybody has a shot at Giving Tuesday. All right, so moving on. So if you're on this webinar right now, you're really one of two people. And the reason that you're here is, should we do it? Should we get into Giving Tuesday? And I would gander that most of the people here do not fall in that category. Most of you fall into, how can we get better at Giving Tuesday? And so that's what we're going to talk a lot about on this particular webinar today. Not necessarily should we do it, because I think by now you know that you should do it. And even some of the data that I just shared really reminds you and validates that, yes, we should do it. So let's jump into how we can get better. So I'm going to walk you through what to do before, during, and after Giving Tuesday. Before Giving Tuesday, you want to look at how your organization performed last year, how much revenue you made, what your average gifts were, what your plan was last year, what channels that you executed on for Giving Tuesday, and you want to set a goal for this year. So if you want to increase revenue by 10% or whatever that is, but you want to go in having a goal. You don't want to just execute Giving Tuesday and say, well, I hope we do better than we did last year. Have a concrete goal written out. And if it's acquiring X amount of new donors, or if it's increasing your overall revenue by X%, or increasing overall number of gifts by X%, make sure that you document and you have your goal, because that will help to guide your strategy and how you execute upon Giving Tuesday. And then you want to identify what marketing channels you want to get in this year for Giving Tuesday. And we'll go through several of those on this call. And you want to definitely plan your communication and messaging, meaning you don't want to fly off the handle as far and at the off the seat of your pants with how you're executing Giving Tuesday. You want to have a documented plan, knowing what dates, what times, and how you're going to actually execute your Giving Tuesday. And then you want to create assets ahead of time. So if there's images that you need to have ready for Giving Tuesday, if there's graphic design, if there's copy that needs to be written for your ads, you'll want to have all of this done well before Giving Tuesday and not doing it the day before or the day of Giving Tuesday. Because again, the whole thing, my whole goal with this is to really set you up for success and help you with the plan to be successful for Giving Tuesday. So let's take a look at some of the marketing channels. Your website banner. When people come to your website on Giving Tuesday or a week before Giving Tuesday, that hero image is at the very top of your page. You want to make sure that it has a Giving Tuesday message on it, because a lot of people don't change out their banners. They keep the same banners up there that they have year-round or through the season. So make sure that you adjust your website banners, your hero images, with Giving Tuesday messages. Your donation pages. Make sure that you have Giving Tuesday messaging on your donation page and a reminder of why Giving Tuesday is important to your organization and what your donor's gift will mean to your organization. Certainly you want to connect with your donors and your email subscribers with your Giving Tuesday messages. You want to have social media posts ready before, and even though we're talking about before, you want to have your whole social media program written for before, during, and after, and we'll get into that a little bit as well. Your social media banners, so when you look at your Facebook cover image, you want that to have a Giving Tuesday message. If you're involved in Twitter or any other social media platforms, you want to ensure that you have those Giving Tuesday messages within the banners of those particular social media platforms. And also consider Facebook Live beforehand. Maybe you're making an announcement, perhaps the week of Thanksgiving here in the United States, saying next week we're going to be doing Giving Tuesday, and incorporate Facebook Live into the actual day of Giving Tuesday. I'll talk about ways to do that in a little bit later as well. Facebook ads, of course, and this is where I've seen the biggest increase in the past 2 years, is a lot of nonprofits getting into Facebook ads. And in fact, I believe last year Facebook actually matched gifts on Giving Tuesday up to a certain amount. So you'll want to ensure that you have your plan ready for your Facebook ad strategy as well. And then search engine marketing ads, which is SEM, which would be like your Google Grants, your Google Ads, or Bing ads. You want to make sure that you are using that as a channel before as well. And if you're doing any text messages, your SMS messages, ensuring that you have those written out, that you have those planned out. And then the last one we'll talk about is a direct mail postcard. And at this point, it may be too late to have those printed and sent out. So this might be an ace in the hole that you put in your plan for next year. So right now, I imagine it's probably too late. But if we look at all the different marketing channels, right here are 10 different ways that you can connect with your donors before Giving Tuesday. And you may look at this and say, oh, that's too many. My donors are going to be overwhelmed. But keep in mind that not every donor is going to hit your website. Not every donor is going to open your email. Not every donor is a follower of you on Facebook. So do not feel that you're overwhelming your donors. You want to have a presence out there across all of these different channels. And I know that I'm talking to a lot of people right now who are a one-person show when it comes to fundraising and development. So you may not be able to do all these, and that's okay. Here's just a list of channels to hopefully spark some thoughts for you and to figure out what you can do to help get involved in different areas for Giving Tuesday. All right, so let's talk about like a step-by-step plan. So this is your planning communication. You want to lock in dates and channels. So this is an example of what you can do. So 1 month before, having your in-home postcard, a save the date direct mail postcard. And it's really simple. It's not a letter. It's really a postcard like you would get. I'm not even going to say for a wedding announcement. I would think of maybe like a local business that's opening or something like that, saying, hey, we're opening on such and such a date. This would be a postcard from your organization. It's very basic, that says save the date. Giving Tuesday is such and such date. And then even provide a link. If you have your landing page or your donation page ready for Giving Tuesday, you can go ahead and provide that link there. 1 week before Giving Tuesday is your Giving Tuesday announcement. And with this, you would do social media posts. You would update your social media banners that we talked about. You would have a Giving Tuesday email, which if you're in the United States, that would be separate from your Thanksgiving email. That way you're not mixing messages. And you would have a website banner or your hero image. You would want those to all go up or be executed a week before Giving Tuesday. The Friday before Giving Tuesday, which Black Friday, that's when you really want to start ramping up your Giving Tuesday efforts. This is when you would want to begin your Facebook ads and your search engine marketing ads. The day before Giving Tuesday, which will be that Monday, you can start your tomorrow messaging. Tomorrow's Giving Tuesday. You can do this with email, social media posts, and SMS, your text messages there. On Giving Tuesday, that's when everything goes down. And you would use social media posts. You would send an email in the morning, an email in the evening, and you would go Facebook Live at some point during the day. And we'll walk through what that day would look like. And you would also send SMS text messages. And the day after, this is where so many nonprofits drop the ball. They go so hard before Giving Tuesday and on the day of, but on the Wednesday after Giving Tuesday, it's crickets. And that's something that you don't want to do. You certainly want to affirm your donors and communicate with them and thank them for what they've done. And you can do that through email, social media posts, and even a Facebook Live. So continuing before, when we plan the messaging, and this will help to create some ideas, you want to let your donors know why your organization, why are you participating in Giving Tuesday? What's in it for your organization? Naturally not every, that's an exaggeration, but to exaggerate, every single nonprofit is getting in the game on Giving Tuesday. So why are you participating? Letting your donors know what their donations will help to accomplish, or what they'll help fund. Maybe there's a project or program that you're using Giving Tuesday for, and so those gifts will help to fund something. So, and why is why should they give to your organization, and what's unique about your organization? Because there's going to be so much competition for your donors' dollars on Giving Tuesday. You'll want to differentiate and distinguish your organization as to why they should give to you and not another one. And the fact of the matter is, on Giving Tuesday, your donors will probably give to multiple organizations. You most likely won't be the only one. And as a result of that, you probably won't get the average gift that you usually get from your donors. And you might even see a lower average gift than what you've gotten previously from Giving Tuesdays, because donors will begin to give to multiple organizations. You also want to give a quantifiable gift and impact. So saying X amount of dollars will help do X. For like a rescue mission, it might be, $8 provides one night of housing or something like that. So put some kind of quantifiable gift and impact within your Giving Tuesday messages. And then you want to really think about, what does your creative need to communicate? So your images, what do your images need to communicate? If a donor's looking at that, what do you want them to see or feel? Same goes with the copy. Like what story do you want to tell, or how do you want to describe that need, or what your organization, or how your donor's gift will help the organization? And what will your call to action be? Will it be donate now? Will it be fund a night of shelter? Will it be help fund research? Will it be save a kitten? So think about what those calls to actions would be. And this would also be a good time to test, especially if you're doing ads on Facebook. Test different calls to action and see which ones work best. So when you come to your year-end giving, you'll have some data to support what those call to actions would be. You also want to figure out and really nail down when you will deploy your assets. So what time of day and what day of week will your emails go out? What time of day and what day of week will you post on social media? And you would have all of this written out beforehand. And then some things you can automate. You can schedule things. So if social media, you can schedule those into platforms like Hootsuite or Buffer or something like that. Most email providers allow you to schedule emails. So schedule what you can in advance so that when Giving Tuesday comes, you're not having to schedule and execute every single piece of your marketing. And also think about on Giving Tuesday, if donors call your nonprofit to make a gift, is your organization ready for that? So think about that. And this is something that happens to a lot of organizations. They get a lot of Giving Tuesday messaging but they just want to give the organization a call and make a gift over the phone. So are your people at your nonprofit staffed and ready to answer questions or to accept gifts over the phone? And last thing on here is, can you get a match? Is there a donor or a community partner that is willing to match your dollars or donations rather on Giving Tuesday? And if so, that would be a great reason that people should participate and donate to your organization on Giving Tuesday. So, the overall messaging here is, really important to think about how you're positioning your organization on Giving Tuesday, and not just say, make us a gift. Make a gift to our organization because it's Giving Tuesday. I mean, everybody's going to say that. So it has to be beyond Giving Tuesday. Beyond, because it's Giving Tuesday, why should someone give to your organization? And that's what you need to express to your donors. Okay, so let's talk about creating your assets. And here I have get specific. How many emails will you send overall? And I don't mean like on a particular day. I mean, if you look at before, during, and after, is that 5 emails? Is that 6? So really nail this down. How many emails will we be sending out? Also think about a Giving Tuesday email welcome series. So if you get new donors on Giving Tuesday, create a special welcome series for them outside of maybe your normal welcome series for new donors or new subscribers. Something with specific Giving Tuesday message. And we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But think about this, not just your regular welcome series, but a Giving Tuesday email welcome series. How many Facebook ads will you need to create? All of this needs to be planned out ahead of time. That way, on Giving Tuesday, you're not trying to get that set up. Another thing, in particularly about Facebook ads, if you're trying to set up Facebook ads on Giving Tuesday, then you've lost the day. This needs to be done at least a week ahead of time, because there have been a lot of issues getting Facebook ads approved that I've experienced with clients of myself, and sometimes they don't get approved the same day. Sometimes it can go back and forth over multiple days because the ads continue to be rejected. So start your Facebook ad planning or execution and getting those ads approved at least a week before Giving Tuesday, if not 2 weeks before. You also want to figure out how many search engine marketing ads do we need to write. Are we only going to do 2 and do an A/B test, or are we going to do 5? But you'll want to have that planned out, and you'll want to have all of those written well in advance. Your website and social media banners, when are you going to put those up? How many are you going to create? So your website banner, you'll probably just create one website banner and social media banner. But what about social media content? If there's any images or memes that you want to create for Giving Tuesday, you want to write out how many of those, how many do you plan to post? So maybe over the course of a week, you want to actually create 3 different images for your social media that relate to Giving Tuesday. So have a number in mind for those. Get specific. And then how many organic social media posts altogether to promote Giving Tuesday? Is that 8? Is that 10? Is it 4? But know ahead of time what your numbers are for all of these. What's the number of emails? What's the number of Facebook ads? The number of search ads? The number of social media images? And the number of social media posts. And that is what you will want to be specific on. All right, so this is everything before, and I know it looks a little overwhelming. However, the good news is that at the end of this, I actually have a free workbook for if you're a member of Fundraisers Unite that will help to organize all of this for you. So now we get to Giving Tuesday, and this is what we want our offices to look like on Giving Tuesday. It's a control center. We have all these screens up. We're monitoring social media traffic. We're watching the news. We're responding to donors via email and via any social media channel, and that's what we want it to look like. But the reality of it is, oftentimes it's one person that's doing all of this, and they're there drinking their coffee in mode ready to answer questions, but there's not typically a team of people that are active on Giving Tuesday. It's 1 to possibly 3 people that might be there in the office, taking care of all the Giving Tuesday marketing and promotions and responding to messages. And so let's talk about the morning of Giving Tuesday. If you do have a team, or even if it's yourself, like make it fun. This is it can be a very stressful and hectic day, but it can also be a really fun and gratifying day. So make it fun. Like when you're there, do something festive. Like have everything planned out and ready to go, so that when you get there, it's not just another stressful day in the office. If you do have a team, you want to review the day with your team. Make sure that everybody knows what their roles and responsibilities are. And that's very crucial, because if that is not communicated, then you have the potential to let some of your execution fall off, which in turn will impact how much money you can raise on Giving Tuesday. And then launch everything that needs to be launched. Certainly there will be things that are already automated, but you'll want to get into launching everything in the morning for Giving Tuesday. So we get to the midday or the afternoon. Go live on Facebook. Whether you have maybe an officer or executive director of your nonprofit that can talk about the organization and why donors should give to the organization. If there's somebody that your services have helped, whether it's humans or animals or otherwise environment, have these subjects included with part of your Facebook Live. So if you're an animal shelter, have that puppy in your hand and maybe walk through the shelter and talk about the things that you do and why you need donors to give. Like, that is so powerful. So go live, take advantage of that on Giving Tuesday. Also, socialize the match. If you're able to get a match from a donor or community partner, you want to socialize that all day. And a great way to do that is to go live and even have that community or that donor, if they are willing to get on, to talk about the match. And if you're not going live, communicate it through social media. Or maybe there's an email that you have that you could send out midday and say, we just got a match from a partner. All gifts up to X amount of dollars now will be doubled. So make sure that you socialize that. And then lastly, communicate progress. So throughout the day, communicate, hey, we've generated X amount of dollars. Communicate what your goal is and communicate how close to your goal you are. And you can also do that on Facebook Live. You can check in throughout the day and think of it kind of like a telethon that all of us are familiar with. Operators are standing by, but it's not necessarily operators, but here's where you can go to make a gift. Here's how your gift will be funded. So Giving Tuesday is almost like your telethon day at your nonprofit. This is a small tip, but a necessary one. Order takeout. It's Giving Tuesday. You want to be available. You want to be in front of your computer all day, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at that. But you want to have food in. Make it a fun day, make it festive. And you also want to respond quickly, whether it's a donor that's reaching out via Facebook messaging, or if they send you an email, or if they call. Like, you want to be there to respond quickly. And that just makes sense, because we're all humans, and we all, if we have a questions, especially when there's a giving window like Giving Tuesday, if I were to call an organization or email or send a text or a instant message on Facebook, like, I would hope it would be responded to quickly, because that means I'm in a mode to give, and how you respond and when you respond could really help to sway whether or not you get that gift. And then you can also give donor shout outs. So throughout the day, maybe donors that give over X amount of dollars, you can thank them on Facebook. So that's something that I've seen, and I'll show you some examples of what this looks like. Here's several, starting with the left side. You see, like, Salvation Army of Greater Houston, just giving a special shout out to people who gave over $500 in the last hour and how they're helping the organization, and then of course put a link there where other people can give. You see the Central College alumni, it's Giving Tuesday challenge. This post gets 50 shares before 12 p.m. A surprise from a mystery organization on campus will be unlocked. So they made that really fun, and so I'll keep this up here for a minute so you can see this, because I think these are some really creative and fun examples to where how you can utilize social media in order to gain attention, but also engage with your donors. And you can also, these are really good posts because they all have to do with Giving Tuesday and making a gift. So you could actually boost these posts within Facebook. Typically, I'm not a fan of boosting posts on Facebook. I think you need to have more of an objective for your Facebook marketing and advertising. But because these are tied to Giving Tuesday and tied to donations, these would be good advertisements for you to boost on Facebook. All right, so I will move forward. Hopefully you got this. All right, so this is Giving Tuesday. Let's talk a little bit about what to do after Giving Tuesday. And I thought this was a funny meme because I think it's so important. You want to affirm and report back to your donors. Like, I will find you and I will thank you. No matter what, find these donors and thank them for what they did, because you pushed them so hard, you marketed so hard, you put a lot of messaging out, and the least that you can do is thank these donors, because you commanded their attention, at least a week before, and especially on the day of. And if you're going to command so much attention from your donors, you want to at least let them know that it was worth it. The payoff needs to be there. So this is what I would recommend. Like, your biggest donors, give them a phone call. You can certainly send them an email, and I would recommend sending an email thank you to every single donor. But those larger donors, pick up that phone and call them. And especially if it's a new donor, this would be a time for you to share what your organization does and socialize that to them, so that now they may become a longer term donor. You also, like I said, you want to send an email to all donors, whether it's a $5 gift or a $5,000 gift. Every person that makes a gift to you on Giving Tuesday should receive an email after the fact. Typically when someone makes a gift, maybe there's an auto-generated email that thanks someone for their gift. However, I'm saying this is beyond that. This is not an auto-generated email. This is once the Giving Tuesday is over, that you're actually sending an email. And it just needs to be a basic email. It doesn't need to be dressed up with a lot of images and HTML design. It can just be a regular text-based email with your name and just thanking them for what they've done. If you have all the results in with how much money was raised or what their impact is, then go ahead and put that in the email as well. And then just send out a general message on your website, on social media channels. If you have an SMS list, a text message list, send out just a general message, just thanking them for their participation. Here's some examples of some other social follow-ups that I thought were pretty creative. The first one here is saying, they're a little bit short of their Giving Tuesday goal, so you can still make a gift today. Our goal was X, we fell short. We'll still take your gift to help us fund whatever it is that we're trying to fund. And you see the third example here, the Haven, is just giving people a special thank you to donors who did make a gift. So again, I'll keep this up here for a moment just so you can read some of these, and this will help to spark some ideas perhaps with what you can do after with social media. And it could be a good opportunity as well that after, just to thank people and even invite them to become a monthly sustainer. So you really helped us out yesterday. Of course, we have needs all year. If you're interested in helping us out each month, you can go to this link and put a page on there, a landing page specific for retainer gifts, or recurring gifts rather. All right, so let's talk a little bit about email. And 3-part welcome series. I mentioned this a little while ago, but create a 3-part welcome series for new donors that are acquired on Giving Tuesday. And again, this could be a sustainer opportunity. That first email would really thank and acknowledge the donor for their gift and welcome them to the communication stream of your organization. The second email would point them to particular resources. So if you have a blog or other social media sites, it's just a way to say, hey, we're checking back in with you. Here's other ways that you can engage with us online. And then that third email that goes out could be an opportunity to acquire a sustaining gift. So you're saying, hey, donor X, thank you for Giving Tuesday. If you are interested in helping us out monthly, here's a way that you can do it. And, it's not high pressure. I mean, they gave a gift to you, so they already have some reason that they made a gift to your organization. And, of course, not every person is going to become a sustainer, but you will get some sustainers from just by asking. If you don't ask, you don't get. And you can do it in a non-threatening, non-pressure way. This is also a good opportunity to segment your donors. So your new Giving Tuesday donors that you got in, you might want to pull them into a different segment for your year-end giving and talk to them a little bit different. So if you talk to your donors one way for your year-end giving. You may have some Giving Tuesday language that you use with your year-end giving to these new donors. And so you were really a big help to us on Giving Tuesday, and we appreciate your gift. We're here at the end of the year, and we need a last push to really get us over. So, use that. That way it's not such a general messaging for them. And then you want to add new donors to your file. And, this should go without being said, but oftentimes what I see is because Giving Tuesday falls relatively close to year end, sometimes those donors that make it in don't hit all of the databases that they should, but you certainly want to bring them into the fold by the end of the year. All right, so this is Giving Tuesday before, during, and after. And the workbook is available. I told you that there would be a workbook. It's available on Fundraisers Unite. You can go to actually givingtuesdayplan.com. If you're already a member of Fundraisers Unite, you can just log in. There's an area in there that has a Giving Tuesday workbook. If you're not a member of Fundraisers Unite, you can actually subscribe to that. I do monthly trainings. I do weekly live coaching. If you have questions about your marketing for your nonprofit or digital fundraising, there's a resource library that has templates and tip sheets, and it grows all the time because I'm continuously adding content to it. There's an online community from all around the world of fundraisers. So if you have questions, or you can even be a resource to another nonprofit that's trying to work through some digital fundraising or digital marketing challenges, you can go in there and add your expertise. Or if you just need questions answered, it's a great place to go. There's message boards within there. We also have an exclusive Facebook group. And then there's an active blog. So, posting 3 to 4 times a month, different significant things about nonprofit fundraising that could help your organization out, different tips. And if you wanted to go further, there's also my book, The Digital Fundraising Blueprint, that is available on Amazon. It's also on, it's an ebook made available through Kindle, and audiobook on Amazon as well as on Apple. So it's 185 pages. It's available, online. It's not hard to find, but it's been a book that's been a great resource to a lot of nonprofits. Okay, now one thing I do want to show you real quick here is this Giving Tuesday planning worksheets. Again, this is available within the Fundraisers Unite platform, and so definitely make sure that you get this asset. And I'll scroll through here real quick just to show you what it is to help organize everything. So you can see here this first section, you capture last year's information. So the revenue, number of gifts, average gifts, number of new donors, and if there's any notes. And you would do the same this year. Remember earlier when we talked about know how many of each different asset that you'll be creating? Here's a checklist here. So banner, hero image, you'd probably put 1. How many different donation pages? The light boxes, these are the things that when you go to a website, you're greeted by a little pop-up that has a marketing message on it. So you can put that in there as well. An announcement bar, which is another website functionality. It's usually at the very top of a page or maybe down the side of a page. But these are different marketing assets that you can use for Giving Tuesday. You can see social media, how many organic posts, what channels you want to put them on. Then as we scroll through, you can see just really a plan 3 to 4 weeks before. Here's direct mail, which you can do, email. Here are the assets that need to be created. And so it walks you through all of these different things for before, during, and after. I have a checklist for every single part of it. And so even an example schedule. So 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., this is actually beforehand. So look at the day of. Actually, I think this is before. Let me see. Okay, Giving Tuesday, yeah. So I give you an example of what to do throughout the day. 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., here are things that you do. So it really helps to organize and plan and prepare you for Giving Tuesday. All right. So going back here, and that is it. That is the webinar. I thank you for joining. If you want to learn more about Fundraisers Unite, go to fundraisersunite.com, or you can find me at jeremyhazelwood.com. There's information about Fundraisers Unite actually on my website. If you just want the Giving Tuesday plan, go to givingtuesdayplan.com, and that will take you to an opt-in where you can receive the Giving Tuesday program. All right, so thank you for joining. If you have any questions, here's a few different ways that you can reach out to me. I hope you raise a lot of money on Giving Tuesday and throughout the year, because that means you are helping to really power the causes that you are passionate about and that you support. And I know little by little, by doing that, we're actually helping to create a better world and a better place. So thank you for all the work that you do for your nonprofits. I wish you all the best of luck, and reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you.